What is going on, YouTube? Lamont at large. Today I'm in Warwick, Rhode Island, and I'm going to introduce you to a man named Craig Price. He's also known as the Warwick Slasher. Currently walking down Inez Street here in Warwick, and I'm going to show you a house that a murder occurred almost 35 years ago. Very, very brutal crime. A young woman was discovered dead in her home. 27-year-old Rebecca Spencer was found stabbed to death. During the autopsy, the medical examiner counted 58 stab wounds. 58 stab wounds. Rebecca was packing up. She was going to move to another area of town when that murder occurred. And that murder would go unsolved for about 2 years. Now, this neighborhood's very nice right here, and there was no real suspects, serious suspects at the time. Coincidentally enough, that lady lived right on the other side of a house that was occupied by then the Price family. The Price family had 2 sons. One of the sons' name was Craig Price. At the time of the murder, he was about 13 years old. And that is where the Price family used to live, right in that house, right there. Craig Price, when he was a teenager, he was pretty well known to the police department of Warwick. He had been arrested on a few occasions, breaking and entering, petty theft. The police had gone to his family's home, which is right behind me, on more than one occasion. Craig Price seemed to be some kind of like an incorrigible juvenile, constantly fighting with his parents and his brother. Other than that, just one of these wayward kids, constantly on the police's radar for, like I said, breaking stuff, just being a knucklehead. No patterns of, like, I guess you would call it violent behavior, but that would all change within the next couple of years. That is the home where Rebecca Spencer was stabbed to death almost 35 years ago. And opposite of this house is the Price residence. So we're going to fast forward to the Labor Day weekend, September 1989. Now, Mary Bouchard had 2 daughters, Mary Lou and Joan. She had just seen her daughter Joan Heaton about a couple days previous. However, it wasn't unlike her daughter to not stay in contact with her for longer than a day. They practically talked every day. She hadn't heard from her throughout the whole Labor Day weekend, which, she was calling her mom and just say, like, hey, how are you doing? What are your plans? Are you going to barbecue? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? So Monday comes, and she just has a very unsettling feeling. And she tells her daughter, Mary Lou, hey, come with me to Joan's house. She hasn't answered her phone in 3 days. So they drive to the house on 95 Metropolitan, and they go into the house. And as soon as they open the door, this sickening smell, this rotting smell quickly overtakes them. And they're like, smells like rotting food. Like, what's going on? And then as they walk in further into the house and their eyes get adjusted to the inside, because outside is very bright, they notice a scene that they would absolutely never, ever be able to get out of their minds ever again. They seen their daughter, Joan Heaton, laying on the floor, covered with a sheet, blood everywhere. Blood everywhere, all over the walls, all over the sheet, all over the floor. Then you had Melissa Heaton, right by her mother, stabbed repeatedly to death. And then they can see in the kitchen, they could see her other daughter, Jennifer, on the kitchen floor, covered in blood. Immediately, they grab the phone and they call 911, and the police come, EMS arrives. There's nothing that could be done. Everybody in the house is dead. Now, they took the bodies to the coroner's office for autopsy, and they counted that Joan, the mother, was stabbed 57 times. Her daughter Jennifer was stabbed 62 times. And Melissa was stabbed 30 times. The force of the stabbing was so severe that the knife blade was stuck in her neck and her skull had been crushed, presumably by a kitchen stool. This reminded detectives of the other murder previous, where you had, after detectives gathered clues to both crime scenes, they both had something in common. Number one, this was what they would call overkill. Number two, both murder weapons were found in the home. So the killer had went into the kitchen and grabbed a knife and killed them with that. Now, they believed that the two murders were related, but they just weren't definite about it. And across the street right here, that is the house where the Heaton triple murder occurred. When the bodies were taken for autopsy, it was determined that they were killed, according to the decomposition of the bodies, approximately right around September 1st, 1989. This triple homicide with these two little girls and their mother, this was a crime that a lot of detectives here in the Warwick area had never seen before, ever in their lives, much less something that was done so vicious, so heinously. You had all of these people that lived in this neighborhood demanding action. They want this guy out of here. You know, people, even though there's really no proof, people remember Rebecca Spencer's murder from 2 years previous, and then now, this time, it's a triple homicide. Okay, is there a serial killer in the neighborhood? Do I live next door to the killer? You had all these people out here just wondering what's going on here, and they want answers. They want this guy, this person, they want them, whoever is responsible for these murders, they want them off the street, and they want them off the street now. So now you got several detectives in Warwick, one of them being Detective Pendergrass, is tasked with trying to solve this case. You have a lot of people out here very, very worried, buying extra locks on their doors, buying guns. Hey, they're not going to get me before I get them. So one day these detectives, they're just driving around. You know, you already do the rudimentary detective thing of questioning the boyfriend, questioning the husband, questioning past relationships. In the Heaton triple murder, there was no husband to question because he had died back in 1983. So they're driving up and down the street and they noticed, yeah, Craig Price. And like I said earlier, they know who this clown is. He's been arrested a bunch of times for anything from petty theft, breaking and entering. And Okay, they're thinking, all right, let's go talk to him, because maybe he has an ear to the street. Maybe he's heard some rumors. Maybe he knows something. So they're talking to him, right? And immediately the first thing they notice is that Craig has a bandage on his hand. Now, me having explained how many times they were stabbed, you're going to have any seasoned veteran detective know for a fact that whoever did the stabbing in these crimes most likely is going to have cuts on their hands. And you had a person who's like a criminal profiler who said that he felt that the killer or killers in both instances, since basically both murders happened literally right next to each other, he felt that the killer is going to live in the neighborhood. He felt the killer was probably just breaking and entering into people's houses, and just by dumb luck, the person was awoken by their presence, and then they killed him. So they see Craig and they're like, hey, what's going on? Hey, what happened to your hand? I got drunk and I punched a window out of a car over on Keeley Avenue. I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, well, we're investigating this triple murder that occurred here not too long ago. Oh, yeah, I know that. Yeah. Do you know anything? Did you see anything? Nope. He says, I didn't see anything. I didn't know anything, but I seen them taking the bodies out of the house. Because he lived right on the opposite side of the fence from that house. And they said, okay. And they looked down and they noticed his shoes. He wears a size 13. This is a big kid. Weighs almost 300 pounds and he's only 15 years old. And they noticed his shoe's pretty big. Well, there's a bloody footprint that was left at the scene at the triple murder, and it was about a size 13 shoe print. Okay. Well, they thought it was a little funny. This guy has a bandage on his hands, and he has what appears to be the similar same size shoe as the impression that was left at the crime scene. Now, immediately they look at each other and they're like, okay, we want to keep tabs on this guy. So they leave the area and they immediately go to where Craig said that he had punched a window out in the car over on Keeley Avenue. They go to Keeley Avenue. They don't see anything. They don't see any glass. They had called in to the station to say if anybody had reported their car being vandalized or broken into, and nothing. So this kid's lying. Something's up. They got a bad feeling about this kid. They know that even though he's, according to his juvenile record, there's no extreme crimes of violence. They know that they have been to his family's home on many occasions because this kid has kind of had these semi-violent outbursts with his parents, arguing with them and fighting and what have you. And they have gone to that house on multiple occasions trying to calm the scene. So they get a detail to just keep an eye on Craig. And later on, about I believe a few weeks after the murder, they get Craig, they convince him to come down to the station to submit to a lie detector test. So he goes down with his parents, he does the lie detector. They ask him about his whereabouts, where were you at such and such night, this and that. He's done with the polygraph, they unhook him, he leaves, he goes home, and the lie detector analyzer, the guy that gives a test, he's looking at these guys, the detectives, and he says, okay, this guy is being deceitful in his answers. Okay, so he's lying. But unfortunately, a lie detector test is not 100% accurate. It does work a good portion of the time. However, there is people out there that can easily beat a lie detector test. You got like pathological liars, people like that in the brain. They can easily beat these tests. So they're getting some clues that, yeah, this guy possibly has something to do with it. Now the detectives have some kind of a problem. They have a reasonable suspicion that Craig Price is, at least bare minimum, somewhat responsible for the triple murder. They have a hunch that he's behind it, even though he doesn't seem like a likely suspect. But they have the shoe impression from the Heaton triple murder crime scene, size 13. He wears a size 13. They have the bandage on his hand. They seen it. The profiler said that the killer would have cuts on his hands. You have a failed lie detector test. So you get that all together, and they have enough evidence to at least conduct a search warrant. A lot of police out there, when they do search warrants, you don't ever really need a whole lot of evidence to get a search warrant, especially if the judge signing the warrant is one of those judges that are, search warrant happy. They just sign anything. They're like, yeah, go get them or whatever. So with that they had, they were easily able to obtain this search warrant. And on a very early morning hours in the middle of September, they raided the Price family home. Boom, 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 boom. Police, we got a search warrant. A bleary-eyed father, John Price, saying, what the hell's going on over here? Obviously, these guys are crazy. They got the wrong house. He opens the door. SWAT team enters with homicide detectives, and they clear the house. Everybody out in the living room. Everybody out in the living room. So they march everybody out in the living room, including Craig Price. He's tired from a long night of being a loser in his room. And so the family's on the couch, and they're asking, like, what's going on? What's going on? And as they're kind of questioning what the hell is going on, Craig Price falls asleep on the couch. Okay, that's fine. So they go throughout the house. They're going to the backyard, and they open up the shed, and they find, oh, we got a bag right here. What's in the bag? Oh, clothing. And they look, oh, bloody clothing. Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And then they're looking, and they see, oh, what's this? Oh, we got a cool bloody knife. Oh, okay, covered in blood. Oh, okay, cool. And what? Oh, we got bloody gloves. And they're looking at each other like, okay, this looks pretty good. We think we got our man. We think we got the guy who's responsible for the Heaton triple murder. So they come back out to the living room, place Craig under arrest, and charge him with 3 counts of first-degree murder. They take him down to the station. His parents come along following, and they start interviewing him. Now, the interview is readily available online. The audio's not very good, but I will leave a link to to a video that has the interview. Now, they're talking to this kid, and they're just gonna think to themselves like, yeah, this kid ain't gonna tell us anything. Boy, were they wrong. They were absolutely wrong. And over the ensuing hours, this kid basically just tells them everything that they hoped he would tell them. And they're just looking stone-faced straight ahead. They cannot believe this kid is just telling them, yeah, I committed the murder. They didn't even have to pry anything out of him. Well, they said, okay, well, why'd you commit the murder? Well, I broke into the house, and my intention wasn't to kill anybody, but, the lady woke up, and I attacked her. She started screaming. Her kids came out, so I just killed them all. Pretty much point blank, just like that. Very methodically, in a very, very calm manner and fashion. He just explained how he killed them. Okay. What about Rebecca Spencer? Oh, yeah, I killed her too. Oh, okay, you killed her too. Yeah, same MO. She, breaking in the house. She woke up, so I killed her. Just like that. This guy just, I killed her. Without a care in the world, almost like he's telling these cops about his cool baseball card collection. And As he's telling them these 4 brutal murders that he committed, his dad all of a sudden runs to the bathroom and has to vomit. He's just listening to his kid talk about how he brutally murdered 4 people. So they charge him with 4 counts of first-degree murder. One of the people that he murdered is buried right here. This is the grave of Rebecca Spencer. She's buried next to her son, Stephen Earl Spencer Jr. We have the same birthday. He died on January 28, 2010. So it looks like an open and shut case. We got the perp. He readily admitted that he committed these heinous crimes. We're going to be able to throw the book at him, at least give him life in prison with no chance of him ever seeing the light of day. We will get justice for the family members of the victims of these crimes. Not so fast. We have a problem. And that problem is that back in 1989, there was no law on the books that a juvenile was allowed to be tried as an adult. No matter how vicious, horribly cruel the crime that was committed was, if you were a juvenile, that case is in juvenile court. And the prosecutors told the families, the best we could do is lock him up in a juvenile facility, but on his birthday, when he turns 21 years of age, we have to release him. Now, later on the following year, they did pass a state law saying that juveniles can be charged as an adult if the crime that they committed was similar to a murder such as this, or a unusually cruel and horrific crime. But that could not be done retroactively in Craig Price's instance. So he gets sent away. He's going to get out in 5 years. And he made many threats. He stated that as soon as he got out of the facility, he, quote, was going to become very famous or do something very well known or famous or infamous, as you could say in this instance. So he gets locked up. He goes to a YA, or a youth authority, and guess what? He actually becomes almost a role model prisoner. And the morons that were running this place, they said, hey, Craig, actually, even though you committed 4 very vicious murders, we like the cut of your jib, so we're gonna, in a sense, give you the run of the place. This dude, believe this, I was very shocked when I read this. This guy was given special privileges while he was locked up at that place. He was even given light security duties. Oh, and by the way, let's not forget, they let him film a really cool rap video with cool, threatening, and dangerous lyrics. He got special privileges. And when people heard what was going on in this facility, they sprang up a coalition of people that were against his release. Now, there is nothing that they can do other than they can take away his special privileges and lock him away, but he's still going to get out of prison when he turns 21. However, this guy, so violent, so stupid, so vicious, that over the course of the years that he was locked up at this place, he would get into fights. He would threaten staff, he would refuse to be psychologically evaluated. And when he did this, they were able to charge him with additional crimes and lengthen his sentence. Eventually, he got into so many fights and assaulting a staff of the facility that he was actually given even more time. So the time that he was supposed to get out when he turned 21, it got extended until he had a release date of, I believe it was 2017. Now, it might have been 2017 or 2018. Eventually, I believe in 2004, Craig Price gets transferred from the facility in Cranston, Rhode Island, to one in Florida just because of how dangerous he is. So they send him to a prison more or better suited for him. 1 year till he was going to max out his sentence date. Okay. He stabs another inmate, almost kills him. And as you can see in the video, very, very violent attack. If he would have never committed that attack, and let's just say all of a sudden he just played it cool, calm, and collective, he'd be out by now. But because he did that, they added another 25 years to that sentence. So it's looking like this guy, judging by the way he looks, I don't think he's going to live another 25 years. And hopefully he doesn't. Very, very dangerous guy. We don't need that guy on the streets of anywhere. I would even put him on the streets of Afghanistan. This is the grave of Joan Heaton. She's buried with her husband, John Heaton. Like I said earlier, he died in 1983. And their children, Jennifer and Melissa. Hopefully this guy never sees the light of day ever, ever, ever again. Rest in peace to all the victims. A very horrific, heinous crime. I actually remember this crime from when I was a kid. And I remember looking at this dude and how big he was, and me just thinking, wow, like I was scared of this dude. Me just being like a little kid, always watching the news, always reading newspapers as a young kid, and I specifically remembered this story. Anyways, Lamont at large. I'll catch up with you on the next vlog. Thank you for watching. Have a good day, guys. Peace.